I feel like Kevin Feige really got tired of all the negativity surrounding his Marvel movies being safe and not having any memorable or really intimidating villains, and he finally just said, fuck it, we're gonna Game of Thrones this shit. Avengers Infinity War tells the story of the group of Avengers as well as the Guardians of the Galaxy all banding together all across the universe to stop Thanos as he collects the Infinity Stones to prepare for his own sadistic brand of universal balance. The time is here, everybody. Infinity War is upon us. For all intents and purposes, the series finale of the past 10 years of Marvel movies. Let's just stop right there and talk about that. 10 years of Marvel movies. That is incredible. Not only is it incredible that we have had something so special like this long-running, interwoven, connected storyline that's been going on for 10 years, but it's damn right impressive that there is not a single Marvel movie, at least in my opinion, that I would consider a bad movie. There's certainly some that have underwhelmed me. There's certainly some where the, Marvel formula, if you will, is kind of wore thin on me, and there's certainly some that is better than others, but there is not a single movie in the past 10 years from Marvel Studios that I would say, do not watch that. That's one hell of a batting average, people. There's not many franchises out there that I can think of where there's not a single movie where I would not recommend. And now we are at Infinity War. There was so much hype, so much anticipation, so much excitement for this movie, and a lot of worry, to be honest with you, because they've said from the beginning this is going to have every single Marvel character, at least hero-wise, that you have seen in all the previous movies coming together to face off against Thanos, which is the villain that they have been building up since the first Avengers movie. Tons of places to go wrong. Thanos could fail to deliver, you could jumble too many characters, it could feel like it's rushed, like the Infinity War storyline should not have been one movie. So many places that this movie could have gone wrong. And while I do have some things that I will get into in my negatives, I'm here to say, very pleasantly, that Infinity War is badass. Starting right off, let me just go ahead and say, Thanos delivers like a motherfucker. This guy is one awesome villain. Not only is he probably the best, if not competing for the best Marvel villain that we've ever had in the past 10 years, he's easily in the conversation of best comic book villains that have ever been on screen. Because this dude is just so scary, intimidating. Josh Brolin plays him with so much vibrato and gravitas. Like, this dude just commands the screen. And for all intents and purposes, Avengers Infinity War is really Thanos' movie. This is his story. He's basically the main character. All of the, character arcs and the struggles and all of the emotions and everything, for the most part, tie into Thanos.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe.
And that's a huge relief because, like I already talked about in the intro, Marvel does not have a great batting average when it comes to their villains. They've basically had maybe 3, 4, arguably, that you could really say are genuinely good villains, memorable villains, effective villains. For the most part, their villains are just plot devices. They're there to motivate the heroes that will go on to other movies while the villains get left in mediocrity. Thanos is a villain that they have been building up to since Avengers. We've been hinted at, we've seen pieces of him, we have heard about him in numerous movies. They've been telling us for years how badass and crazy this guy is going to be, and man, I'm glad they delivered. He's a really rich and deep character too. He's not just like this big brooding Hulk that's just going to come and just decimate all the Avengers because he's massive and he has this little glove with these little blinking stones. This guy has a lot of emotion. He's got a lot of, depth to himself and depth to his storyline, especially involving Gamora, who's one of his daughters, and involving like all these things that, he personally believes is the right thing while everybody else thinks is the total wrong thing. And that is one of the best things you can do to have an effective villain, is to have a guy that just does not think that he is the villain. He's doing things that everybody else considers evil, but in his own mind, I'm doing it for the greater good, and nobody else just understands that I am here to make the sacrifices that everybody else cannot. And he makes some compelling arguments. He does some fucked up shit, but you're like, damn, you know what? He's got a point. The other aspect that I was most worried about that I think that they actually succeeded pretty well on is that I think they did a really good job at balancing the massive amount of main characters and heroes that we have in the Avengers Infinity War. You got so many people. I mean, everybody that you have seen in all the previous movies. Captain America, Black Widow, Iron Man, freaking War Machine, all the Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody that you have seen, they all have to have their moments to shine. They all have to have relevance to this story. They all have their own interactions. I mean, you got like really nice interaction between Iron Man and Doctor Strange. You got really nice interaction between Thor and Rocket the Raccoon. So many things that are really entertaining, really propel forward not only these character arcs, but also the story. But it does a good job at balancing and giving everybody something to do. Aside from that, really, all the things that most Marvel movies succeed in, this one succeeds in. The action scenes are great. A lot of the special effects are great. There's really no standout moments where you're like, ooh, that looks rough. I mean, Thanos is a CGI character. All of his minions are CGI characters. They look really good. They definitely don't look like that motherfucker in Justice League. And then you got all of these things as far as the storyline and how everything is just kind of wrapping up all these tail ends and even these little subtle hints of tail ends of stories that have been left from maybe 7 or 8 movies ago that get a little bit of a reference here and there. Just nice little nuggets and treats for people that have stuck with this movie series and watched every single entry leading up to Infinity War. And I will say, this movie has some balls. I think that the Russo brothers did a damn good job at making this movie's stakes really high, making the gravity of what's going on really high. It doesn't feel like it's just going to be the safe Marvel movie where even though the stakes are supposed to be high, we know everything's going to be okay. It doesn't feel like that at all in Infinity War. You're waiting for some serious shit to happen every single frame because the tone and the devastation is there. It is pliable, it is on the screen, and they make some decisions that seriously show some cojones. And you need that in a movie like this. So much anticipation, so much stakes, and wrapping up a 10-year storyline, you need something that is going to punch you in the gut, that's going to do some things that feel wrong, that feel bad, that leave you walking out of the theater going, what the fuck just happened? You need a movie like that for Infinity War. You do not need this little safe, vanilla picture. It's like, oh, well, that was cool just seeing all 27 characters together. That was a nice little time at the movies. No. And really one of the best achievements of this movie, which is something that a movie that's in the placement that this is in needs to do, is that it does a really good job of making me feel satisfied of some of the storylines that it wraps up that have been kind of trailing for the past 10 years, giving some nice conclusions here and there, while also leaving so much to be wondered about for what is to come for the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the future, that even though this feels satisfying as hell for what has come before it, I can't wait for what's going to happen. Like, so many people walked out of this theater, and I saw people that were, I literally saw people crying. I'm not even going to lie. I think that's a little bit ridiculous, but I saw people crying. There's people walking out. I mean, the credits rolled. People were quiet. It wasn't like this huge applause, like, oh my God, yes, that was awesome. Everybody was like, fuck, what do we do now? And people were checking their phones like, God damn it, what's the next Avengers movie? And that's a good thing. When you have all of your fans not only satisfied, but you also have them on the edge of their seat, not being able to fathom going on living until they figure out what is to come in the future of your movie cinematic universe, that is a good thing. And one thing that I have to mention, because I harp on this a lot in my Marvel reviews, is that the humor is really well written in this one. Marvel stumbles with me a lot. I feel like a lot of times their humor is very forced. It just keeps going and going and going. Sometimes the recurring jokes feel like they should have stopped at the second or third time they mentioned it. Sometimes the humor gets in the way of the gravity and the stakes and, you know, the fate and the depth that's going on in the storylines that they're trying to have. In this movie, it doesn't. At least for me, it does not get in the way at all. I had some genuinely good laughs throughout this movie. I think there's some really good, well-written humor, really well executed humor, and it's placed really well in the movie. It doesn't feel like Thanos just killed somebody and Iron Man's cracking a joke like some of these movies feel like. It actually feels like it fits, and it fits the formula, and it fits this universe, and it doesn't get in the way of what they're trying to do with Infinity War.
Who the hell are you guys?
But the movie is not absolutely perfect. There are really just 2 flaws that I have with it. They're pretty sizable flaws, I'll be honest with you, but they're pretty small while compared to how many things this movie did great. First of all is that even though I think they do as good as you can possibly hope to do with balancing all of these characters, story-wise, I think the movie struggles a little bit. And it's not really that they could have done a different storyline or done the storyline better. It's just that the storyline that they're going for, what they have to do in Infinity War, really doesn't lend itself to be done perfectly in a movie runtime, even a 2.5-hour runtime like this one. It feels, especially in the first half, like a lot of shit is going on. It jumps from this character to this character to this character, you know, meanwhile with Thor, meanwhile with Captain America, meanwhile with Guardians of the Galaxy. And it just feels like you're going in 1,000 different directions with Thanos getting most of the screen time sprinkled in, that for most of the movie, it's just kind of putting the pieces together for this climax. And while it is entertaining, while it does succeed very well in bringing these characters together, having good interaction, and succeeding in bringing Thanos to the screen, as a storyline, it doesn't really come together perfectly for a movie experience. And my final negative, and don't worry, this is completely spoiler-free, so even though I'm talking about deaths, I'm not going to give any specifics. Marvel kind of shot themselves in the foot with the way that they have constantly had resurrections in their movies. Every single character, with the exception of Quicksilver, leading up to Infinity War that has died in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, has been resurrected most times within the next half hour of the same film that they died in. So as a result of that, as of expecting that, as of being kind of conditioned to expect that in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, none of the deaths really had the impact that they should have had with me personally. Even the ones that I can tell are going to be permanent, and there's no way that they're going to bring that character back, they don't really have the gravity that they should. You know, some of these characters we've been with for years, we should feel like a freaking gut punch when they die. But because I've seen them be resurrected so much, in the back of my mind, at least 70% of me is going, well, that sucks, but they'll probably be back in Avengers 4. And that's not good. When you have a movie like this where there's so much stakes, there's so much gravity, and so many just dark moments going on with deaths of characters and some really just fates that we are not going to be fans of as fans of these characters, whenever you don't really have that emotional impact because they have continuously teased you and lied to you in the past, that's not good. You know, you should have some serious gravity going on in this movie. And for a lot of people, that is still going to land. But for a lot of people, you're going to see some death, and you're going to be like, they're probably going to be back within the end of this movie. Or they're going to be back in the next movie. Or in a couple of movies. They're not dead. They're not really dead. And the last thing that I'll say, without getting into too many specifics again, because I want this to stay spoiler-free, and this is not going to be a negative for everybody, because everybody has their own choices for their favorite characters. There are some characters that do get a little bit shortchanged in this movie. They're not going to get a whole lot to do. Everybody gets one memorable moment, but there are some characters that have quite a few memorable moments, and there's few that just get one. And unluckily for me, it seemed like all of my favorite characters were the ones that got shortchanged. Now, it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the overall story going on, because I love all these characters to a degree, but there are certain characters I was like, I can't wait to see what that dude is going to do. And then when I saw what they were going to do in the movie, and then the movie ended, I was like, shit, I wanted way more from them. So overall, guys, I gotta say, Avengers Infinity War really met my expectations. My expectations weren't sky high like a lot of people. I actually walked into this one with pretty medium expectations, just because I've seen so many Marvel movies that, you know, I don't have gigantic expectations and huge excitement for these. I'm just like, all right, cool. Let's see what Infinity War can bring. And it met my expectations. I had a really good time at the theater. I really like how they wrapped up this little 10-year film series. I'm curious of what's going to come, and I really think that they succeeded as good as possible with all of the things they were trying to do in this big, epic project that they had with Infinity War, and balancing characters, bringing us the biggest, baddest villain that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and giving a satisfying conclusion for the past 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, prepare yourself to be treated. Get your ass up from this YouTube video, go out, see this thing in theaters, and whenever it finally drops on Blu-ray, go out and buy it. So what did you guys think of Marvel's Avengers Infinity War? Did this movie meet all of your expectations? Do you feel like all of the anticipation of this thing paid off with Thanos, with all the characters? Were you invested in all of the devastation and all the deaths that happened in this movie? Or were you like me and you're like, I don't know, they're probably gonna be back? Put all of your thoughts on the Avengers Infinity War and the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole down in the comment section below, guys, and we'll talk about it. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and keep an eye out this weekend for my ranking of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've done this a couple times before, but now is the proper time to do it now that we have Infinity War. And I might even rank the heroes or the villains or something like that. Let's have a fun Marvel-focused weekend in celebration of Infinity War, so keep your eyes out for that, guys. If you want to check out some of my social media links, check out Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spreadshirt, and my Patreon page down in the video description below. Check all that out, guys. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, you can check those out by clicking right over here.